Hi folks, welcome again to the channel. Juan here from Physical Media EU. Today we're going to talk about soundtracks on vinyl, specifically about the label from A24, A24 Music. Hello again and thanks for tuning in for another video. As I was saying, today we're going to talk about the A24 Music label, which was founded in 2021, and we're going to go over some of the records I have in my collection from this label. But before we start, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, if you're interested in physical media, especially Blu-ray reviews, and other related movie talk, like today we're going to talk about soundtracks on vinyl. You can also find me on Instagram, which has the same handle, Physical Media EU, where I post detailed pictures of all the items that I review, but some of the records we're going to see today don't have a specific review yet, so you're not going to be able to find those, but I will link in the description the ones who do. Now we can move on and start seeing some of the vinyl records. And the first few records I want to show, they are actually not from the A24 Music label, and I know this might be confusing, but there's a reason why I want to put this together with other soundtracks from A24. So let's begin with that. Now it's going to be the soundtrack for Uncut Gems, which was released by Warp Records. I'm not going to show too much in detail because, as I said, this is not from the label that we're inspecting in this video, but I still wanted to showcase this one because now when I move on to the next one, you see how also the soundtrack for Midsummer is also like black background with the imagery in white. This one specifically was released by Milan Records, and this is a nice color edition limited to 1000. Moving on is the soundtrack of The Witch, and as you can see, it also has black background with the imagery in white. Well, in this case, it's more like very light gray, I guess. I'm not sure if you can see the difference in the video. And this one is also Milan Records release. Now moving on with the next Robert Eggers film, also for A24, The Lighthouse. Again, as you can see, the pattern, right? Black background, white images. In this case, this one was released by Sacred Bones. You can see the label logo down there. And now moving on to the soundtrack of The Northman, which is not an A24 movie, but I still want to show it because it also has this pattern of black background and white text, also by Robert Eggers and also released by Sacred Bones. This one, by the way, is a very nice release, which I have reviewed in the past, so you can find the link up here in the description. And lastly, the soundtrack for Nosferatu, which again is not an A24 movie, but is from Robert Eggers, and it maintains this pattern of black background and white text. This one was also released by Sacred Bones. And I have also reviewed this one in the channel, so the link up here in the corner. So those records are not from the label of A24, but 4 of those movies are from A24, and all of them have this visual pattern that I was mentioning, so to me they seem somewhat related. It's a little hard to show all of them at the same time, but I guess you can see the point. And also another reason to show these records is because the A24 movies of that group, they were released before A24 launched their music label. So you can see how they were working before they have their own. So you can see how they were working before they had it. So you can see how they were working before. Now we're gonna move on to the A24 Music records. We're gonna start with a very simple release of a single 7 inches record, which is from the movie Red Rocket, directed by Sean Baker. As you can see, it says bye 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 because it's a cover from the NSYNC song. You can see there a little bit more detail. And now here you can see now for the first time the A24 Music logo. By the way, so you can see the logo better, there's some merch on the A24 website. You can see this t-shirt, which is very cool, I think. A24 Music, New York, New York. And actually it says 2022. So I stand corrected for what I said before about the year 2021. Now we can move on to the soundtrack of Zola. This music composed by Mika Levy. We're gonna inspect this one a little bit more in depth. And this is the first present I got from A24 for my birthday, but for being a member of AAA24, the membership they have. So I put my own sleeve on the record because I like to have my own anti-static sleeves. As you can see here, it's a very nice color vinyl. This is 140 grams. So quite standard there, and then it has this inner sleeve, which I prefer not to use. But yeah, it's a nice release, quite standard but good looking. Now we're gonna move on to the soundtrack of Come On Come On, which is a very beautiful movie. And as you can see, this one had this kind of sticker like on the shrink wrap, and I like to keep those, so I put it here in the sleeve. And let's take a closer look to this vinyl. So here is the back. If you want to read it in detail, you can pause the video at this time. And I'm not sure how much you can see there on the video, but the print on this sleeve is very matte. I think it looks quite nice. In fact, I used to have, you can see probably on my other videos, I used to have this record back here in this frame because I think this photo looks so nice, and I really like the records that doesn't have any text or any logos or anything on the cover. It's just so nice, so I like this one a lot. Now moving on to the inside. You can see there with the drawings of the kid. Now if we take the record out, this is the inner sleeve. I should say the records, right? Because this is one of two. We take it out, and it's a conventional standard black record. And for the sake of entertainment, I'm not gonna show the other one, but it's a very similar style of kind of graffiti, hand-drawn pictures. Now moving on to the next one. This one, When You Finish Saving the World. This original score by Emily Mosseri, which I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing that one. And also has original songs by Ziggy Katz and Jeff Tweedy. You can see here in the back also has this sticker that I was mentioning before. And what I like a lot about this record is now I have removed the sleeve that I use. It has like its own sleeve. I'm not sure. Yeah, there you can see it, right? And if I remove the record, you can see how the text is on the sleeve. This is a very nice detail. Makes it stand out from standard records. So I like that pretty much. Then here you have the cover and the back, and this is just a sleeve. It's not a bifold. And here is the inner sleeve, which also has this kind of graffiti style hand-drawn art. And then if we take out, okay, this is the B side, but then on the other side there's a cat. So this is a very nice soundtrack. I like Emile Mosseri's work a lot, so definitely I wanted to get this one when it came out. And another thing that was included with the record was a guitar pick, which on the other side, by the way, has the A24 music logo. So definitely very cool to have. Now moving on to a record that I have been after for a long time, is the soundtrack of The Green Knight, which was sold out for some time, and the prices they were asking for this one on Discogs were like insane. So when they restocked it, I got it right away. Normally most of these records for the double ones, they cost around $40 and $30 for the single ones. This is a double one, so it was $40, and it's also colored, so I actually think that is a fair price. So here you can see the back of this one, and taking a closer look in the logos here, you see the A24 music logo and also Milan Records. Sometimes these soundtracks are produced by A24, but the record is released by Milan in this case. Sometimes they make collaborations like that. For example, the Sola record that I show was also a collaboration with Invada Records. So let's inspect this one a little bit more in detail. See, this is a bifold cover, and if we take the records out, we find this the first record with this custom sleeve. Looks very nice, and also it has a letter from the director of the movie, David Lowery. Now if we take out the record, look how nice this looks. And also it has the A24 music logo there on the label. Now here is the second record, again with a note from David Lowery there on the back. And the record, as you can see, is also like the other one, green as well. And by the way, the music for The Green Knight was composed by Daniel Hart, who also did the music for A Ghost Story, which is a movie that I love as well, and also have the soundtrack as well. Also not released by A24 Music, because that movie is of course older. In that case, that was released by Milan Records. Now moving on, and almost at the end of our list, we have the soundtrack for Beau is Afraid, which just like Midsummer is music by Bobby Krilic, and the movie, of course, is by Ari Aster. So here you can see, and also here has the A24 music logo. Now if we open this up, here is the central image. It's only one record though, so you can see here you can see the custom inner sleeve. Here is the back of it, and the record is very beautiful. Look at this transparent with this stain in the middle. I'm sorry if I'm using the incorrect word for it, but if there's a better term for it, please let me know in the comments. So look, the labels look super nice. So this is a very nice record. And finally, we have the soundtrack for the Iron Claw, which I left to the end just because it's the newest of the soundtracks that I have. And this one, you can see here the back, it has this strap that can be removed, so that is out. And what is cool about this one is that, right, it looks like an old TV, and when you take out the record, the picture comes out like this. In my humble opinion, it would have been nice if there was something printed here, or for example a plastic with some print on top, especially also because there's a photo in here. I think it would have been nice to do something here on the front, similar to how the soundtrack for They Live is, which I have also reviewed on the channel. You can find the link in the corner. So moving on to the record, here is the sleeve, front and back. And if we take the record out, we find this beautiful kind of liquid gold, I think is what they used to call this kind of variant, just like the one of the lighthouse that I showed earlier. So this also has the A24 music logo, and it's definitely a very nice release. Now in year 2025, and hopefully going forward, A24 will push a little harder on their physical releases, so there will be more Blu-rays coming out, although at least for now, the ones I know of, they are not coming out so much in this format like they used to have. They did several of those before, including the Green Knight, the Lighthouse, Last Black Man in San Francisco. Some of those I have reviewed in the channel. You can find the links down there. More recently, they did this one of Stop Making Sense in that format, but I kind of think that it was kind of an exception, because if I'm not wrong, it's the first time they did this format again in some years. But what they are pushing more and more now is this format, which is also quite nice. And I have reviewed some of these movies in the channel as well, so you can find the links in the description if you are interested to see these releases more in detail. But Blu-rays is not the only focus they will have on physical media. They are also pushing harder on the vinyl releases. They have made some more recently and more coming up. And also films like Y2K, if I'm not wrong, they have a VHS release and also a cassette for the soundtrack. So I'm very happy to see this initiative by A24, because when there's a movie that I like a lot, which has been the case for movies like Midsummer, The Lighthouse, and so on, I like to own physical media about those movies. For example, Midsummer, I have the movie, the soundtrack, and also the book up here. So the more they release, the merrier. That's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear on the comments if you knew this label, if you own any of this record, or if you have some of them on your wishlist. Remember to check out the full reviews of some of these records down on the description. Also photos on Instagram, same handle, Physical Media EU, and you're invited to subscribe if you are interested in this kind of content. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all at Okie Dokes.